Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. This is Killot404. Welcome back to another commentary regarding the Nintendo Switch. Of course, we have the crazy reveal in a couple of days where they're going to reveal all the information, the price point, the games, the release date, blah blah blah, all that stuff. And so before the day actually comes, I want to at least get out one video talking about my predictions, my final predictions. I'll set them in stone. And it's kind of a fun game for me to see if I was right or not on what I think will happen with the Nintendo Switch. Bear in mind though, a lot of my predictions, I guess they're kind of based in rationality, if you want to call it like that. They're basically kind of boring. You probably have heard these answers from web articles and other people talking about the Nintendo Switch, so it might not be super appealing to you, but I still think I have some good reasoning behind why some of these choices will be in fact true when it comes to the presentation. So I just want to put it out there, and maybe you guys agree with me and maybe you don't agree with me. So it's just a fun game that I want to do before the actual information comes out. So let's go right on ahead talking about the Nintendo Switch. Let's talk about the first thing, which is, in my opinion, the most important thing, which is the price point of the Nintendo Switch. I think they're going to come out with two different models, a cheaper one and an advanced one. The cheaper one is going to be $250, and I think the more expensive one is going to be $300. And the more expensive one is either going to come in with a pack-in game or more memory so that you can save more games to your actual console. So I think that's very standard with a lot of people are thinking. I think again though that the $250 price point and below is very important because it's gonna, attract a lot of casual gamers, to get this console. I think during Christmas or their birthday or something like that, I don't think that they would mind shelling out $250 to enjoy, casual gaming, to play all the latest Nintendo games from time to time. I think that's a very tame price, and a lot of people are willing to pay that amount of money for a console. I think that's a sweet spot, like I said in my other commentary. So pretty basic, two standard two different SKU models for the Nintendo Switch. Cheaper one, more expensive one, $250, $300. I think that's very standard and a lot of people are expecting that. Next thing I want to talk about is the release date. I think that they are not going to delay the Switch. I think, if you look back in history, I don't think they've actually delayed many of their consoles from what they said they were going to release it. For the Wii U, they didn't delay it. For the original Wii, they didn't delay it. So I don't think that they are going to delay the Switch. I think they spent a lot of time developing the Switch, that they're almost ready. They almost took off 2016, right? They didn't really do a lot of stuff for Wii U. So there's been a lot of time that they've had right now so far in making Switch. I don't think there's any reason for this console to be delayed anymore. And so I think the latest that it's going to happen, and I'll just make this prediction, they want to give this as much time as possible, however, so I'm going to put a March 31st date out there, which is great. It's going to be in the spring, earlier than the summer. Earlier is better for us, but I think, like I said, it's just, they're going to keep their promise and they're not going to delay this console. I'm going to predict that it's going to be coming out sometime in March, late March 31st. So there you go. Next thing I want to talk about are the games. And I think, again, it's going to be very safe to say, but I still think it's true, that they're going to re-release a lot of the older Wii U games that they've put out. They're going to put a new spin on it, refresh it a bit, and they're going to re-release those games on the Nintendo Switch again. And it's very rational to me. I think because a lot of gamers didn't get to experience those Wii U games, the Wii U didn't sell out a lot, so a lot of people missed out on a lot of these quality games on the Wii U. They deserve a second chance of life on the Nintendo Switch. I'm talking about games like Mario Kart. I'm talking about games like Smash Brothers, okay? Talking about games like Splatoon, and we've seen all these franchises already and kind of some of their trailers for Switch already. So I think that's why they're showing up, and that's what the case is. They're going to get re-releases, and they probably, I'll just call it, they're going to be having these releases like day one that you can actually purchase for Switch, just so that their library is robust right out of the gate. I think that's a very smart idea, and that's what I'm going to predict is going to happen. They're going to have all these older Wii U games day one on Nintendo Switch. In terms of other release date titles that are new, I think that Breath of the Wild, it's going to pull another Twilight Princess. The reason why it was delayed was so that they could actually kind of do a dual release for Wii U and Switch. So I think that, of course, like without a doubt, it's, even the Breath of the Wild was shown on Jimmy Fallon. They've been kind of marketing this game a lot. It's the only game they showed at E3, so it just makes perfect sense that it's going to be one of the main release date titles for this console. And my next prediction is that the Mario game that they showed will actually not be a launch title. Reason being is because it's kind of weird for them to put their two superstars, out together, like right in the front of the gate, like right when this console releases. I don't think I've ever seen a Mario and Zelda game launch at the same time. They kind of like to stagger their releases so you can kind of focus on one game and then the other game. And so I think that Mario will not be a release title. I think that the star of the show is going to be Zelda, but I think that the new Mario game that they showed is going to come out maybe 1 month or 2 months down the line. It's going to be literally the next big game that they're going to be focusing on right after the initial launch of the Nintendo Switch. So those are my predictions: Zelda first, Mario later, and then all the Wii U games are going to be available day one on Nintendo Switch as rehashes or re-releases. Next thing that I want to talk about, I guess I'll kind of veer off a bit. I'll talk a little bit about a couple of things. The first thing I want to talk about is online. So I think online on the Switch is going to suck. Mainly because, Nintendo are traditionalists. They came way late into the game for online gaming, online infrastructure. We all know that online infrastructure and online gaming for Nintendo consoles is horrible, honestly. Here's like a simple little example. These consoles don't have Ethernet ports like the other consoles. Your Xbox, of course, has an Ethernet port in PS4, and even that simple example showing that they really don't care about internet, it really kind of messes up the online experience for gamers. I mean, I see this example, I envision an example, of a little kid who's enjoying Smash Brothers and playing online, but because they're playing in their living room and they have to use Wi-Fi, and the Wi-Fi router is like 3 rooms away or something like that, the internet gets very choppy, the connection gets very laggy, and the internet experience is really bad. Even, let's be honest, like For Glory one-on-one, right? It's really bad. A lot of the times when I play For Glory one-on-one, it's because other people are lagging, and it's really frustrating to play through lag. It's really frustrating to play with people who play with Wi-Fi who don't want to use an Ethernet cable. Again, this is kind of the whole core gamer mentality, hardcore gamer mentality. If you're a hardcore gamer, you want the best internet connection, right? You want the smoothest experience, so you're going to be using an Ethernet port. So of course, since I already talked about this, Nintendo alienated their core gamers, they're going to go casual. They really have no reason to build an online infrastructure as well, if you think about it, because they're going to be focusing on trying to get more casual gamers onto the Switch as opposed to the hardcore gamers like me. So unfortunately for me, I'm just going to have to live with it. The online is going to suck. It's going to be really bad. Like little things like voice chat. Is there going to be a headset specifically for the Nintendo Switch that's going to work really well so we can have online voice chat? I highly doubt that. That's not the forefront of their plans. They're just gonna have a basic online experience, and it's just gonna be kind of like the same old, which is unfortunate, but I mean, you're gonna have to live with it. That's just who Nintendo is, that's just the way they roll nowadays. Unfortunately, they're not really too hardcore. So that's my little spiel on internet. I think internet and online is not going to be that great for Switch. Now, again, veering off to other small things, let's talk about the actual tablet controller. I think that the controller will be good. It'll be really nice. It's a small screen, and at least they'll go with 720p on the controller. I think that's very standard, and I think that games will look pretty good in 720p on that little controller, that tablet controller. I don't think that it's going to be a multi-touch because, again, sort of with the price, they want to keep the price of this thing low. And also, too, if you think about it, it's probably just going to be single touch, pressure sensitive, not multi-touch, because the main way to use this console, this controller, to play the games on the console is to use the buttons and the D-pad and the control sticks, right? So to make a game that has dual, where it makes sense to, I don't know, like to make a game only for multi-touch seems wrong and unintuitive, especially when it's supposed to be like a home console as well. So it's weird to have this multi-touch functionality in a game and then plug it into your TV, plug it into the console, the dock, and then it's like, well, I can't even use the multi-touch anymore, so why even program that function into any of these games, right? So I think multi-touch is very limited anyway, so I don't think it's going to show up. I think we're just going to see a single pressure-sensitive touch screen to keep the prices low, and it makes sense, like I said, in terms of game logic. Like, you're going to be using this console mainly or half the time on your TV, so why even have multi-touch in the first place when half the time you're not even going to use it? So that's kind of my theory or opinion on that. In terms of accessories, I don't think that they're going to have too many crazy accessories. Like, I know a lot of people are theorizing that you can swap off the little Joy-Cons and then replace them. Maybe like you can replace them with like a GameCube layout or different layouts or something like that. But again, I don't think that's going to be like a main focus with the Nintendo Switch, mainly because, you know, you already have the standard D-pad, the standard button layout, the standard stick layout. You know, it makes sense to keep that layout consistent throughout, you know, so you can play all these different games, right? So it doesn't make sense for them just to create, maybe for Smash only, but that'll be it. It doesn't make sense for them to create all these different controllers to play these different games different ways, you know what I'm saying? I think that they're just going to stick with the standard control setup, the Joy-Cons on the side, and that's pretty much it. I don't really see a way for them to innovate a lot and to have these crazy different controller snap-ons for the Nintendo Switch tablet. It doesn't make sense to me, so that's my opinion. I don't think accessories are going to be super crazy on this console. I think what you get is what you get, and I think that's what everyone wants anyway. I think that's certainly what I want. So that's my little spiel on accessories. And finally, I guess I'll talk about a semi-wild card that might happen, or I guess I'll call it as a prediction. You know, a lot of people are talking about the rumors that it's either going to be 4K output resolution potential, like it potentially can output in 4K, or it could also be a headset VR thing where you kind of strap this little tablet on your head and it acts like a VR console, so to speak. So those are one of two ways that are kind of like wild card things that Nintendo could go with, and so I'm gonna choose the VR wildcard instead of the 4K. I think because the console is just way too weak to support 4K, I think VR is a lot more feasible, and it just makes more sense because, again, VR is all the craze nowadays. You see all these VR games on Steam, you know, you have PlayStation VR, so it makes sense that, you know, think of like PS Move, for example, how PS Move like halfway within the PS3's life cycle came out. That might be the same thing with the Switch. That'll be my wildcard prediction. Like halfway between the life of the Nintendo Switch, they're going to be having this crazy VR headset setup thing where you can play VR games with a little tablet, attach it to your head, and play Mario in VR or something like that. So that's my wildcard prediction. It probably won't happen, but I'll just put it out there as well. So those are my predictions. Again, I think I stayed pretty safe in my predictions. So you guys can agree with me, you can disagree with me. Let me know in the comments below. I'll see you guys in the next commentary, and I'll see you guys after the Nintendo Switch reveal. Let's see if I was right on any of these topics or not. So, peace. I'm out.